What if your business could thrive, not just when things are good, but when everything falls apart? There's actually a system for that. I'm Kandas Rodarte. This is Gratitude Geek, the podcast for Gen X women solopreneurs weaving gratitude into your business strategy. Today we are chatting with Ksenia Votinova-Arnaud about the Weatherproof Business method and what it really takes to build a resilient business that gives you freedom on your own terms. Welcome, Ksenia.
Oh, thank you for this introduction, and thank you so much for having me. I'm excited.
You have a beautiful name. I hope I didn't butcher it.
No, it was perfect, and I'm used to it too.
Tell the audience what you'd like them to know about you.
I'm a serial tech entrepreneur, actually love technology, and I've been starting businesses in the tech world for the past 14 years. But what I'm really excited about right now is actually helping other women start something of their own and start businesses that are meaningful to them, not just something that generates profit. We obviously want profit from our business, but I also believe that, especially for women I work with who are more senior and in their life and in their career, they want to solve meaningful problems. They want to create real impact and create something that actually makes a difference. And this is something I'm very excited about, to help them get started on this path, but also to show them how we can use technology to go faster and also create a business that is not burning us out, but actually gives us time freedom, location freedom, and helps us create the life that we actually enjoy living, which I don't like talking about work-life balance, but I don't think it really exists. But at least we can have our shot at that to create something that can correspond us maybe at least 80% of the time.
I really think that work-life balance is a choice. I like systems, and systems is really what you have created with your Weatherproof business. And a system, as long as it's designed for your business, a system makes everything easier.
I absolutely believe in systems because when you're an entrepreneur and when you're getting started, there's just so many different things that you feel like you need to be doing, because all of a sudden you just left your job and you become the jack of all trades in your business. You're the marketing, you're the salesperson, you are the admin, the accountant, the HR, you name it.
And a lot of the women listening may not have even had a job. They may have become empty nesters, and now they're like, now what do I do?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's a very common trap, to try to do everything at the same time. And this is how our time disappears, because time is a limited resource. So I've been thinking about this question for a very long time now. How do I optimize this time? How do I put a system in place? And the only way to actually move forward is to have a system, a roadmap that directs you, what exactly matters step by step. And so the Weatherproof Business method that I created was created based on actually over 1,000 coaching conversations that I had with executives, especially tech leaders working for INSEAD Business School here in Europe as a business coach. And I still work for them. It's been 9 years now on business strategy, innovation, design thinking programs. And all these executives come to work on their innovation project, starting something new, either for themselves or for their organization. And I've noticed patterns, something we talked about earlier, patterns, and what separates those projects that are going to succeed and those projects that are going to die or not get accepted, or, according to some of the latest statistics, there's like 90% of businesses in the US that go out of business in the first 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
And
that statistic hasn't changed much in the last 25 years.
No. And so the method I've developed came from the reflection of how do we make sure that the business can be resilient no matter the market conditions, the forecast, the economy we're living in. And actually, it comes down to just 4 key components. And the very first component is not very popular, but many people are talking about it. But that's the one that gives you the resilience. And that is your own why. That's actually your own personal, very deep personal reasons to actually want to start this business and to go through all the bad times and downturns and all these surprises that are going to happen probably in the first 5 years, because they will. Like, I don't know any business owner who just started and from day one, everything went according to the plan. It never does. So unless you have that very strong why inside of you, that is something which is usually built on your personal story, your mission, your values, something that you deeply believe in. Once you identify that and can remember that, even if that just means putting a post-it on your desk,
have them everywhere.
You do? Okay. And so then you know why you're doing it. And I use it myself in my own business. Just this week, I had a conversation with my coach saying like, oh my God, like I went on vacation with my kids last week. And then I realized that it took me 4 days to decompress. Even though I love my job so much, I realized that I've actually been really, really tired and really addicted to the adrenaline of like being always on, that it took me 4 days to even understand that I'm on vacation. And
how long was your vacation?
It was 1 week. So I had only 3 days left to actually relax.
Okay.
So, and the conversation I had with her was, like, it made me realize that what I'm doing is really, really hard. And then the conversation spiraled back to, and what is my why? Why am I building all of this? And I remembered, like, I'm building for all these women out there because I want them to get to the same level, to the same results that I got with my own tech business with VPN that just turned 15 years old. So I know that it's possible for them to get there. And now the reason I'm working so hard is to be able to reach more women in order to help them, share my method, show them the roadmap. And I'm very, very much invested in my clients' results, which makes me probably adds an additional level of stress to it because I want them to succeed so much, but I cannot do the work instead of them. So besides just sharing the method, I'm also there cheerleading them to get to those results and get them through these conversations of, this find your deeper why. Remember why you're building it for, so that you can go through the hard times when you feel like the things are not working out, to eventually get to the space, to that time when they do. So that's the first component of my formula, the why. And the other three are pretty standard in the startup world, design thinking world. The second one is we're focusing on the who. So that is a very specific customer persona, customers you actually relate to, for whom you actually want to create value, and who are also have the potential to, generate the income for you because, most of the people I work with are not in a nonprofit business. And then really deeply understanding what is it that they need? What is an actual challenge for them that is worth solving? And we do that by doing a lot of customer interviews and conversations. And as I said, running those insights now through AI, trying to understand and match that with our offer, which is the third step, the what, the actual offer that is a solution to the problem we identify for the very specific customer segment. And then the last step is the how. So that's just the logistics of now pulling it off, making it a profitable business model, making sure that it's built on solid ground, that it is leveraging technology so it can be scalable. A big mistake I see is women starting some kind of a consulting business model, just selling their time for money. And when I have coaching conversations with them, I start calculating, okay, how many hours do you have? What is your rate? It's like, this is your cap. Did you realize that this is your cap? And they never ever made this calculation. I haven't met any person yet who would come to me and know exactly what their cap is. And when they see this number, they realize, wow, actually, I'm trying to build something right now, which is not worth it. I'm just going to sell all of my time and I'm going to get to this number, to this hours. And this is not really the life I've been imagining when I'm thinking of starting my own business.
You have to do those calculations. You have to figure out, is what I'm doing worth it? Unless, of course, your why is something that encompasses, because sometimes you can take a loss on the income if it serves your why.
I actually see that quite often. One of my clients recently was launching the first version of her product idea, a wellness app. And she realized with the first customer feedback that it was not, what she created was not working. And so she came to our session and she was like, oh my God, this is not working. What do I do now? And I told her, are you going to stop? Because like, what are your options? Either you continue, you pivot, or you stop. Do you want to stop? And she said, oh no, I'm not stopping. Like, I would do it for free. It's like, okay, so your why is strong enough. Now let's figure out, how do we pivot? And a lot of people asking me this, but how do I even know if my idea is going to make me money? And I always tell them, it eventually will, if you keep on trying, if you keep iterating, learning,
experimenting and iterating,
and stick to it until the end, until it works, because eventually it always does. But we just don't know how many iterations and how many tests and experiments it's going to take you. Maybe it will take 2, maybe it will take 5, maybe 35.
And sometimes an experiment will take some time. So you have to you have one of the most important keys to having a resilient business or being resilient as a person is patience.
Yes.
Because without patience, you can't be resilient.
Yeah. And again, that is linked to a very strong why. Because you cannot be that, patient when nothing works. You need to anchor yourself to something. And I would like to build on this to make a link to the gratitude, because this is what your podcast is about. Because gratitude is one of the most empowering states that you can live in your life. And this is gratitude. It's almost a straight link to happiness.
Mm-hmm.
So a strong why could also be linked to all the different things that we're grateful for, that we already have in our life, that are already good. Like remembering that as well.
There are so many flow states that happen when you're in a place of gratitude. And gratitude is a place, in my opinion. It's a state, it's a being, and when you're in that state, when you are appreciating what is around you, it's really hard for the negative to come in, because when you're grateful, how can you be hateful when you're grateful? Hey, I just coined a new phrase. All right. I haven't interviewed someone from Europe in quite some time. So it's time to ask the question that needs to be asked. About 85% of the listeners are in North America, Canada, United States, Mexico, right? And so for those of us in North America who live this, and Canadians, I know, bless your heart, I know you think you're different than Americans, but we're not that different. We are constantly in a state of moving. We are always in a hurry. And Europeans just live a different lifestyle than we do. So what can North Americans learn from Europeans in 2026? Especially those of us who are business owners.
Yeah. Maybe that we only live once and we live right now. So if you keep postponing your good life for tomorrow, it actually may never happen.
That's true. One of my favorite things about Europeans is that y'all don't talk about yourselves in terms of what you do. You might say, I work in tech, but you don't identify yourself as someone who's a tech person, right? Like in America, in North America, we identify ourselves based on the work that we do. Where in Europe, you identify yourself based on the things that you love to do. Do you agree with me?
Yeah.
Am I wrong? Am I misinterpreting?
No, I think you might be right. I don't know if it's 100%. I never thought about it. But it is true that, okay, here in Europe, we have longer vacations, different lifestyle in terms of, we're taking 2-hour lunch breaks here in France, and we don't work on weekends ever. And even like in France, food is like a religion. Like you cannot come to a dinner and eat in 15 minutes or eat in front. Like you go for lunch with your colleagues and it takes an hour. And they're not even going to serve you in the first 15 minutes because it's going to be rude. If they were kicking you out of the restaurant. So I know that when Americans come to Paris, they say like, oh, the service is so bad because they didn't serve them right away. But that would be so rude for us, because then what's the dinner for? You just ate and you left? No, it's a conversation. It's an experience. And dinners, I mean, one of the last dinners I've been to, we arrived at 8 p.m. and we left past midnight. And at 11:30, I was texting my husband saying, yeah, it's okay, I'll be home soon. They're about to bring dessert. And that's just the lifestyle. So I think it's very true that in Europe, probably Europeans identify themselves with many different things. There's work, but then there's also lots of things after work. So they explore different passion, be that sports or arts or anything else. And, family is a big thing as well. When you become a parent, and the social life, actually doing things. Well, in the big cities like Paris, it's so easy. It's so accessible. Like I live on the street. There's like 3 theaters on my street. And just downstairs, there's restaurants with people queuing in front of them 24/7. So yeah, they're just so accessible that everybody's doing that. So I think that is why, you have a work schedule and then you have some kind of a social schedule for the rest of the day and the weekend, etc. So maybe that is why. And I think it's
the not working on the weekends is, I mean, North Americans, we work every day it's possible to work. I find myself, I've worked at home for 25 years. So I have a much different way of working. I work when I feel like it. If that means 1:00 in the morning, that's what time I'm working. But if I'm working at 1:00 in the morning, I'm certainly not working at 1:00 in the afternoon the next day. I'm doing something else, right? But I have the benefit of working from home.
I also think this is what makes people happier too, because sometimes I have conversations with senior leaders and executives who are in transition, who just left the corporate world in the peak of their career, which means that the role that they left, they were completely identified with it. This is how they were recognized because it was a big role, right? And now they're finding themselves at home and trying to figure out what to do next. Is it to start a new business, maybe have a couple of business ideas, and then thinking, but what would people think about me? Because my identity was, that senior leader in tech, managing these big teams, launching these big projects. And now I'm going to do this or do that. And what would people think about me? What will happen to my reputation? So it's a big identity crisis that they don't know anymore who they are because that job is no longer there. Because they left it or something happened, and lots of layoffs happening now in tech. And I think one of the reasons for that is also because while they were full-time in the job, they actually gave all the energy to it. And they didn't have a different identity on the side. So there was a big fusion of that working identity with their own identity that once that was out, they feel completely lost. And I see that a little bit less in Europe because of the different lifestyle, and because people leave work, they close the laptop, and not all of them, but a lot of the people close the laptop and they don't want to hear anything about the job anymore until 9 a.m. the next morning. So identity, like switch off one identity, get in the other one.
I think one of the things that may, and I'm hopeful about this, I want to predict this is going to be true because I love science fiction and I prefer the science fiction where the world is rosy, not where the world is falling apart. But I think that AI and technology may open the door for those of us who want to be artists and want to cook more and want to create. Those opportunities will become available to us because the tech is enabling us to spend more time doing the things that we love.
Yeah.
I'm hopeful that is the future.
This is what I'm hoping as well, but there's always two sides to everything, right? On one side, people will have more time to explore their passions and try something new. But there, on this other side, some people might find themselves with the time that they don't know how to occupy.
Ugh.
And this is actually something I heard.
I didn't think about that.
Tony Robbins on the podcast. I don't know if you've heard that podcast Tony Robbins did not long time ago, saying that he is afraid that there's going to be a big identity crisis for a lot of people who would not know what to do with themselves. Even if there was the question of the financial stability is going to be solved, still the question of what is it that I actually do with my time now that I'm outside of work, which was a big part of my identity, that could be a negative trigger that the society needs to try to solve now, because I do believe that this is what will happen. I really, really hope that humans will start working less and technology will start working more for us, because most of the people I know, they're doing like 60-hour work weeks and more.
Yeah.
And this is not human and going really, really fast, much faster than a decade ago and 2 decades ago. Like the mental load of everything is just so big. That's why so many people burn out. And like burnouts, I see them almost every single week. I know somebody who would burn out. So I hope the technology will be able to solve that. But it can go many different directions. Let's stay hopeful.
You just gave me a lot to think about because it's true. I have the perspective of being a Gen X woman. And Gen X women are known for being the people who take care of shit. If you give me a project to work on, I figure out how to finish it, right?
Yeah.
Because that's just how I was bred.
Well, I'm exactly the same as you, but I also know that.
But you have the advantage of being European. I really do think it's an advantage.
Well, food-wise it is. And also having a French husband is a real advantage, I can tell you. He's doing all the cooking.
That's so funny. Okay, so let's talk about weatherproofing, because we've talked about what could happen great, what could happen bad, but we can also protect our business from the good, from the bad. So tell me about weatherproofing. How do we do that?
So the way to build a business, which I called weatherproof, that can survive anything, whatever can happen, is, as I said, first of all, build it on solid foundations, which are your internal foundations, your internal why, but then also build it profitable by design, meaning that this is a business that does not necessarily require external funding in order to take off. And the way you can do that efficiently, cheaply, without outside investment is to find the right problem that people want to have solved and are ready to pay for. And this is why it's very important when you're getting started to actually, first of all, you make an assumption what that problem could be, what you think it is, and then you go and get proof of that by talking to actual people and learn from what they're saying. So you never want to make the assumption that you have in your head and make it the absolute truth. It never is. Like, I've never met a genius who would just nail it from the first try. So you always want to learn from speaking at least 10 different people in your customer segment to try to understand, what do they think about this problem? Is this really a problem? And is this a really problem that is worth for them to pay for? Because maybe it's something nice to have, but they're not necessarily going to spend their money or time for it. So then if it's not that, what is it that they need? And get it after you have that information, you can build the solution, you build the offer without investing a single cent into it. Because since you've already spoken to people who said that the problem exists, that they want it solved, they want to pay for it, you already have a potential wait list of your first customers, which you want to secure, build, get the information, get their emails, get a prepayment if you can, and then you start building. And what we used to do, and what I used to do in my own business and with my clients was, you collect that interest, you collect that wait list. And some of my clients who did B2B projects, so software for organizations and businesses, they would get the letters of intent with a prepayment from those organizations, and then they will take that money and build their software prototype. But now it became even easier with vibe coding. You don't even need that money for the software prototype. You might, at max, pay a prompt engineer, or there's many of them right now, who basically gonna help you vibe code this thing for you. And you've got your prototype. And you've got your paying clients, and then you launch it, you learn from it, and you can organically grow that, keeping your profit margins from the day one. When we built LiveVPN, which is SaaS, a software as a service app and software, 15 years ago, this is exactly what we did. We found the niche for what people needed. We built the first prototype. We shipped the very minimal version of the product, which was like so primitive, built on the software that already existed. We just tweaked it to make it our own and connect our own things into it. And we were selling that and learning and growing organically from that. And we had 45% profit margins from the very first day until today. For 15 years, to eventually become one of the top VPN companies here in France. We acquired our competitor in UK a couple of years ago and integrated all of their clients, British clients, into our system. And our business gets acquisition offers, like, I don't know, not every month, but close to that. And everybody wants to buy it. And it's like, we're not selling. Why would we sell that? And at this point, I'm not saying that you can create this type of business in a year or two. I mean, it took us time. And I think, like, on average, it takes about 10 years to get to that point where you're so comfortable that the business is semi-automated. You don't really need to work on it so much anymore. So right now, I'm just spending 3 to 4 hours a week on it, just on the board level, just with the strategy, right? And we have AI, automation, all of that running inside the business with just cash.
Okay, so for the listener, can you explain what a VPN is? Because for many of us, in our brains, a VPN is what we use when we want to play a video game that has a better server in Europe, or we want to get TV shows that we can't get here in the US. So what is a VPN really? It's not those two things.
Pretty much that what it is. I mean, it is what it means to you, right? When we started, so VPN is basically a secure tunnel between your computer and one of the servers that we have that changes your IP address. So basically changes your public address of where you're connecting from as a computer, secures your connection, etc. And when we started this business, actually our ideal customer persona changed over the years. We started with the geeks, with the cybersecurity people who knew exactly what a VPN is, why they need it, and they were willing to pay for it. And that's why when we shipped our very first version of the product, it was so not user-friendly. But for those people, it was not a problem because it got the job done. And then And then the market changed and everybody wanted to watch American Netflix here, and Europeans wanted to access American Netflix. There are more movies in there. So,
And for here in North America, we want to watch Doctor Who.
Okay. So that became a big customer segment to us. And then we ran into the customer segment, which were expatriates, people living outside of their home country. And okay, sometimes they need to connect to a server in their country to submit their taxes, for example. They cannot because it's blocked outside of the country, or many different reasons for why they would want to change their geographic locations online to pretend they're somewhere else. And then what eventually happened,
world travelers who need to connect to work.
Yeah.
In their home
and then
country,
what eventually happened that we could have never predicted is that when we acquired our British competitor called My Private Network, they had a huge customer base of British people who are retired and who are living in Spain and Portugal and Cyprus. And they want to have access to BBC shows on their TV, on their smart TV. And that became our huge customer segment, which meant that we had also completely rethink our customer service, our product, because the way they use the product and the type of support they need from our team was completely different from people who are international travelers or, cybersecurity geeks who don't need any support at all. So that to say that, business always changing and is always evolving. But as long as you stay attentive and close to your customers to understand what is it that they need and how their challenges and their problems and their needs are evolving, because our world is always evolving. It never stays the same. Then you win the game because you are constantly adapting and solving it for them and growing with them.
And that's how you stay resilient.
That's how you make it weatherproof.
Resilience is malleable. It's not rigid.
Agile. Always agile.
Oh, so I was right. A VPN is just for people who want to watch TV shows from other countries.
That's what it is for many people.
I love it. That is hilarious. All right, it's time to start wrapping up. So how do you weave gratitude into your business strategy?
Well, my business strategy is very much focused on my customers. Okay, when I was thinking about, what can I talk about in terms of who are the people I'm grateful for, I could talk about in your show. And I talk a lot in other shows about my parents and my mentors. But I think it's also important to mention that we can also be very grateful for our customers. Because while we're creating value for them, we are also learning so much from them. And I know that every time I have coaching conversations with my clients and then they send me messages saying like, oh my God, you've just inspired me so much. Like you gave me a push to keep moving forward. And I feel like, well, actually, what you don't know, you also gave me a push to be moving forward because I saw the impact I created on you and how it inspired you. And that made me realize that whatever I'm doing makes sense and is valuable to people. So I can also keep going. So I think having your customers on your gratitude list is very important as a business strategy.
And just telling them too. Tell your customers why you appreciate them. Don't just say thank you for your business. Tell them what kind of impact. You have a free gift for the audience. So tell us about that.
Yeah. Well, actually, I have a lot of free resources on my website that I've created for entrepreneurs for different stages of their journey, because I meet some people who say, okay, I want to start something of my own, but I don't really have a business idea, or I'm picking among different business ideas. So I have a free resource using AI that can guide them through that thinking process using my own coaching method plus the design thinking exercises plus the power of AI to take that reflection. And then other resources as well when people are more advanced on their business ideation stage, including a guide of how exactly do I actually run those customer interviews to understand who my customers are, what is it that they need? So how do I capture all of this inside? So I have that free resource as well. So you listeners are very welcome to download them from my website, KseniaVotinova.com, and explore whatever else I have out there. And I also regularly run free masterclasses, 1 hour, where I share my full method with examples and exercises that they can do at home. So I've delivered over 1,500 people by now. And I know that there are people who actually launched their own business. I recently spoke to a lady from Lisbon in Portugal who said, "Oh, I attended your masterclass last year, and I started a 3D printing business, and she's printing car parts, small car parts, using 3D printers and selling them on the flea market in Lisbon." As her beta test of her MVP. And she's like, "You inspired me on the masterclass to do that."
That is such a niche. My husband has to order parts for things that he does some repair work, and some of the things that he repairs are so old that you can't buy them anymore. So he has to order them from a 3D printer.
Yeah.
It's so amazing. What we did, 3D printer, they're making toys and stuff, but no, they're making houses, there's so many amazing things that are going to happen in the next 100 years, maybe even in the next 10 years. And we don't even know what they are yet. Right? There is a niche. Somebody filled a niche with a 3D printer making car parts, y'all, in Lisbon, Portugal, that she sells at the flea market. There are niches we don't know about yet. It's amazing. Absolutely amazing. All right. This is your moment of gratitude. Ksenia, for whom or what are you most grateful?
Always for my family and for my little kids who keep me up at night, unfortunately, but I am so very grateful to them.
Thanks for tuning in to Gratitude Geek, the podcast for Gen X women solopreneurs weaving gratitude into your business strategy. Our theme music is by Rev Brock and Soul Lily. I've been your host, Kandas Rodarte. Stay groovy, my friends.
Restez groovy, mes amis.